To this, if you are currently scaling your business beyond $10,000 months or even to that first $10,000 mark, I'm going to give you an exact breakdown of how I set my clients up to have 6 figures on repeat, also to hit their first $5,000 month, also to scale beyond 6 figures, and exactly what we do together, because a lot of business coaches don't get into the nitty-gritty with their clients like I do. Here is actually my 14-page business audit that I do with every single one of my clients that comes into a tailored support space or close proximity space with me. So both TVA as well as the mastermind and any sort of one-on-one coaching, we do this together. So I'm going to walk you through why we go through each of these steps and what it leads to in their business. And people miss this, but one of the first things that we do is we audit my client's mindset. I have them listen to a hypnosis audio. I have them do a subconscious exercise that basically gives us insight into what they are currently coming up against in their subconscious, where their blocks could potentially be, so that we can nip them in the butt really quickly. This exercise essentially gives us insight into what's happening in the subconscious mind. Like, for example, one of my one-on-one clients who is currently scaling her business, and basically her goal is to convert directly through her marketing and hit $20,000 months. When she filled out these exercises or this piece, we recognized that there was a lack of belief in herself, as well as some feelings of fear of success. Basically, like, if she succeeds in her business and excels beyond people in her family, that she could potentially make people in her family feel bad. Now, the reason why this is so important is that because all of these things, all of these thoughts and beliefs that live within the subconscious mind, they play out into our reality and become our behavior and who we see ourselves, as well as the action that we take every single day. Basically, a thought becomes an emotion, becomes a behavior, and that plays out in our reality, and it's how we create our reality. So it doesn't matter if you have the perfect marketing strategy, if you're still lacking belief and conviction in yourself within the subconscious mind, that will still play out in your reality. It will also be reflected in the words that you use and what you say online in your messaging, which is why a lot of people don't convert through their marketing alone. What we look into in their business are things like their sales process, their marketing and messaging. We do a deep dive into their ideal client, so that can also lead into their marketing and messaging. We look at their boundaries and standards, and then we do an audit of their systems. Essentially, what this does is overall it looks at all the moving pieces in their business to make sure that they have a well-oiled machine, so that they're not just, basically jumping beyond hoops or not fixing holes or trying to skip steps. They're essentially covering all of these bases, and that way they're actually building a company versus a little Instagram business. When we do a messaging and marketing audit, we look at things like buyer type, buyer journey, overall your current marketing system and gaps and why you're not converting. When we look at your sales process, we not only look at the mindset behind it, but also, why you're not converting in your sales as much as you could. So this is where we 10x, your sales. You're already making 10K. We look at how can we 10x that. In your boundaries and standards, we look at how your offers are currently set up that are not supporting the evolution and the business you actually want to create. So for example, I might have a client who desires to have more spaciousness in her business, but in her group program, she's offering like monthly one-on-one calls, daily messaging, daily Slack support, daily client review in her Google Drives, and she's offering just like endless things. And this obviously doesn't support her desire to have more spaciousness, especially if she has one-on-one clients, especially if she has, a mastermind. So essentially we're looking at like, how can we, increase the amount of support you provide your clients in transformation, but take you away and take you out of it just a little bit. And then obviously we do a systems audit, which looks at your client experience, how you're onboarding and offboarding, just in general, like your funnels, things, that can overall create sales on repeat. And to go even deeper in this, you can see at the bottom, we do a framework and coaching audit. So essentially we look at your coaching and your framework. How can you become a better coach, and how can you create a framework that allows you to have sales on repeat, as well as your product suite and pricing? Does that support the overall goal of your business? And then we also do a current income audit as well as future income audit. Is your product suite even set up to support the income goals that you have? When I have all of this information, I can really easily and seamlessly create a plan of action for you and basically tell you exactly where we need to go. This is what we need to work on. This is what we don't need to work on. This is what is important. This is what isn't. And, we're thinking for long term versus like, how do we get a really quick cash injection? So one of my one-on-one clients, we did this together, and there were a few things that I noticed both in her mindset as well as just overall her product suite, her marketing, her messaging. There is a lack of belief and confidence in her marketing and messaging. So we've been working on that mindset wise. We've been also working on her ideal client and her messaging and marketing, just overall the words that she uses, where her business is headed, the overall brand. And then we've also been looking at some low touch offers or touch points in her product suite in general, so people can get an example of what working with her is like, and then upsell into a higher ticket container. We're also looking at a group program as well too that will probably be launched in the next couple of months. So overall, we're filling the gaps in her product suite, in her offer suite, as well as her pricing, as well as making sure her business is supported to hit the income goals, and then looking at her brand overall. What does her brand stand for and what makes her different? Because there's a million coaches out there like her. How do we get people to really see like she's the choice? Overall, this leads us to being able to create a plan of action for her. So once we've done the business audit, which helps us really look at the long term, where are we heading in her business? We're not building for like 10K right now. We're building for 50K, 100K months right now. We're not skipping steps, but we're making sure that she has strong foundations in her business right now. Then we're beginning to look at brand building. So what differentiates her? What are her values? What does she actually believe in? What is her brand voice? What are statements that she always comes back to? And her experience in general, with her framework being like how we see her as the expert in her marketing and messaging, as well as her brand story, and then the buyer journey, as well as buyer types in her audience, so that we see sales on repeat. A lot of people will get onto Instagram and think like, why am I not creating sales, when they're really only using this one platform for the entire buyer journey, which makes it a little bit longer. Whereas with my clients, we really look at how can we make omnipresent marketing work well for us and make it really, really simple. Then we also look at the marketing pieces of actual conversion, with converting clients faster and also like doubling the income that you're already creating. So the messaging, how do we create more visibility? Launching strategy, we can get on calls together and actually map out an entire launch in one singular call. I just did this with this one-on-one client last week as well too. So now she has this entire launch that is leading into a course and a group program that she's going to be launching down the line. So again, we're thinking long-term, and then also building community. This also is covered in the audit, but something that we think about once we have all of these foundations is like how your business is operating, the funnels that you have, your team, when you're hiring, what is your first hire, as well as your overall client experience. How can we keep clients in here like again and again and again for client retention? When people are growing a business to 6 figures and beyond, they're often missing so many pieces of this puzzle. They're not thinking about how they're positioning their brand. They're not thinking about the messaging side of things. They're not thinking about how they can differentiate themselves. They're not thinking about offer suite and like if their offer suite actually supports the income they want to create. A lot of people will just have one-on-one coaching because they've been told start with one-on-one coaching, and then they're completely burnt out, or they're like trying to consistently replace their income rather than stack it. And so they have all these one-on-one clients, but they're like, where do I go from here? I don't even have any time in my schedule. So when we're building together, we're looking at long-term. Long-term, you want to hit 20, 30, 40, 50, up to $100,000 months. How do we make sure your product suite is supportive of that right now? How do we make sure that every aspect of your business can just be built upon? So the foundations are there, and you don't ever have to worry like about your income or whether you're going to convert or whether your income's going to fluctuate in general, because we just have those foundations. And so many people don't teach these foundations that can be repeated again and again and again. I think one of the biggest misconceptions in business is that it's not going to be, the foundations that take you to 5 or 10K are not going to be the same ones that take you to 100K, and they are 100%. You just cannot skip steps. And then overall, the subconscious piece that we do at the beginning is one of the most important pieces to all of this, because if you don't have the confidence and conviction in yourself and the belief in yourself, someone could have the exact same strategy as you and be light years ahead because they show up authentically. They show up and say what they want. They show up and they fully believe in their offers. They use, really solidified, convicted language. They're not wishy-washy in their messaging. They're not getting on and, not speaking to one specific niche, instead like speaking to the masses, because they're too afraid to say what they actually want to say, right? So they're convicted in their message and they have this clarity, so they can show up with that conviction and convert that much faster. This is what you need if you want to scale to 10 or 20 or 30, again, any of those $1,000 months, or specifically if you're scaling beyond $10,000 months, because a lot of times you can just be kind of wishy-washy and like throw shit and spaghetti at the wall in your first $10,000 to $20,000 month. But then when we want to repeat it and compound it, you can't do it without this level of support.